If you're watching this right now, that means you're watching The Kickout. And this episode, I will be going over my 5 greatest matches of all time. Let's get to it. You just watched the Wrestling Open Forum, and before I get into the actual greatest matches of all time for me, I did some honorable mentions, and I extended my list from the last time. We got Booker T on there. Honorable mention was Booker T, and then I have Chris Benoit on there also. So, wanted to extend that list because it's kind of hard to choose your favorites when you go home and then you start realizing there's more people that you like. But this time we're going to do my favorite matches of all time. So it wasn't easy. It was really hard on how to place these matches. But you know what? We're going to take this journey and you let me know what you think your greatest matches are. Your top 5, top 10, top 20. I don't care. Let me know. I want to know. Or just your favorite match. Now, before I get into this will be a list that I personally love. So let's get to it and let's go right into number 5, which is Sting versus DDP for the World Heavyweight Championship on an episode of Nitro, April 26th of 1999. This match was extremely great because what really captivated this match was the sole fact that no guy actually had an upper hand in this match. They went back and forth constantly. I mean, just beating the dog crap out of each other. And to see that kind of action in WCW at that point in time when the company wasn't doing too well, it was a nice breath of fresh air to see these guys busting their ass on a Nitro for the heavyweight title. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this match was the last 5 minutes of that match. And during that, Sting hits a tombstone, and then he goes for another one. But this time it's like the Undertaker-style tombstone. And when he does, Paige kicks and reverses it, and then Sting immediately kicks and reverses it back and goes into that tombstone. And then you get a close 2 count. They get right back up. And then Paige hits him with a jumping DDT. And it's a sloppy count or a sloppy cover. But that's what made that look good, is because they're scrapping for the victory. They're trying to do everything they can to get this win. Also, right after that, Sting goes for a backslide pin, and when he tries to go for it, DDP goes for a low blow, but the referee can't see it because of the angle. He's looking at Paige, and Sting is behind, so he can't really see the low blow. And then Sting kind of like trots off to the corner to recover, and then Paige goes over there, and he's getting his diamond cutter ready, and he pulls, and he pulls, and he pulls, and Sting has his arms locked on the ropes in the corner and is not going. Well, they kind of walk out a little bit, and before you know it, Sting locks in on that Scorpion Death Drop, and he hits it, nails it, and when he wins it, that crowd lost their mind. That was a great moment for WCW, and to me, that is the best match that was ever on an episode of Nitro. And before I go any farther, I didn't put this match on there, but I will say Goldberg versus Hogan, that was an explosive moment, and I think that was a missed opportunity. It should have been at a pay-per-view, but that's neither here or there. But number 5 was Sting and DDP, April of 99. The next one is number 4, which will be Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc, 1997. This was a mask versus cruiserweight title match. And the thing about Eddie and Rey was they were ahead of their time by years. And there's no comparison what WCW did with their cruiserweight division. This match was extremely, what's the word I'm trying to look for here is Eddie was so volatile in this match. He was so toxic. He thought he was the best cruiserweight. He thought he was so arrogant in everything he did. And one of the things that was really disrespectful that he did in the match is he would rip at Ray's mask and ripping it almost in half. And I remember watching this as a child, you know, I'm thinking that's a terrible thing to do, to do that to somebody that, you know, you've known your whole life. The best part of that match was its ending. Its ending, excuse me, ended up being Eddie Guerrero went for a Splash Mountain Bomb. If you don't know what that is, it's a outsider's edge basically, but whenever you throw them out and you land, you go into a pin with it versus just a release. Excuse me. So whenever he went for it, he was on the middle rope. And when he threw, Eddie threw Ray, and when he did, Ray caught him with a Hurricanrana and went into a pin with it and got the victory, which to me at that time, as a child, seeing something like that is unheard of. It was super amazing to see in the 90s. You just didn't see that kind of athleticism. But I mean, to be fair, you kind of did going into it. But just the whole purpose of the cruiserweight division was bar none. It was fantastic stuff. And I'd like to let you know again, like, that was light years ahead of anything that we would see today. You would think you were watching something today if you watched that match. So let's go into number 3. Number 3 is Goldberg versus DDP, and it is hands down Goldberg's best match. That match actually took place at Halloween Havoc 98. There's a pattern. I'm a huge Halloween Havoc guy. So the cool thing about this match is it is easily Goldberg's best-selling match, but the reason is because he was actually injured. And Goldberg was very famous for not selling punches or kicks or moves or anything in general. So he goes for a spear, and when he does, he hits Page so hard and he drives him into the ground that he hits his head and he knocks himself out. Now, after that spear, he has, once again, the best selling that he's ever done in his career. But that was just because he hurt himself. And I hate to say that, you know, that really sucks that happened to be the best part of his selling in his career, but it happened. But another part of that match that was exceptionally amazing as a child watching it, Goldberg goes for the jackhammer. But when he does, Page reverses it. And to my knowledge, if you know if it happened before, that's the first time the jackhammer ever got reversed. I'm pretty sure up until that point, Goldberg hit the spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3, and that was it. I believe that was the first time that it was ever reversed. And he reversed that suplex into a diamond cutter and hit it. And Goldberg kicked out like immediately right after the 2. And I mean, the crowd pops for it. And they get back up. DDP goes for a suplex, bad move. Goldberg reverses, jackhammer, boom, it's over. 1, 2, 3, and the crowd erupted. It's easily Goldberg's best match. Page's, well, we could talk about Page matches all day, but Page made him look like a superstar in that one. So let's get into number 2. Number 2 will be Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle, and that was at WrestleMania 20. This is an extremely great match because of Angle's heel persona. Angle plays probably one of the best heels out of anybody. When he's a face, he's super hilarious and he's easy to get along with. When he's a heel, he's an asshole. And that's what makes him fun to watch when he's a heel, because he literally feels he's the best in the world at what he does. And that match, leading up to that, he had Eddie Guerrero in handcuffs because Heyman put him in there and he was going to have a match. And, of course, Angle just blew that heel heat up with that one moment on SmackDown, which was an amazing moment. But this match, to me, showed how great Eddie was at not having to win with just his finishing moves. And there's not many wrestlers that do that. Rey Mysterio comes to mind when he was in WCW. When he did that, he would have roll-up pins to win with. But in this match, Eddie Guerrero ended up unlacing his boot, and Angle went for the ankle lock. And when he did, Eddie slipped out of it. And then that's when Angle kind of got taken by surprise that the boot was off and he charged him, and then Eddie rolled him up for a roll-up pin, a small package, and got the 3 count. And that's one of the few times that I can think of that a major title at WrestleMania changed hands with a small package. You don't see that often. It has happened, but it was such a great moment to see Eddie use every avenue that he could to win this match. And I thoroughly enjoyed that match. I love Angle. He's had super great matches, and so has Eddie. But this one sticks out the most because of that ending and how well that match had finished. It was a great pace match too, very technical, and it was very good. It was a very good showing of good versus evil. I really like that aspect of it. So, the moment that you have all been waiting for. It comes down to the number one match that I absolutely love. That's going to be Chris Benoit versus Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, WrestleMania 20. That's right, I got 2 matches from WrestleMania 20 in my top, and they're 1-2. And it's for the World Heavyweight Championship. This match, I had so much anticipation going into this. All I wanted was Benoit to win this title. And he won the Royal Rumble, and I couldn't believe it. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is his chance. He could do it. The good thing about this match is, too, if I remember correctly, I think there's only one kick out of a finisher. And the one kick out was Shawn Michaels giving Chris Benoit a sweet chin music. Now, I love when they don't pull finishers off and then the finisher at the end of the match actually ends it. So that was pretty amazing to see. I mean, there was a crossface at the beginning of the match, or not beginning, but in the match. But then obviously we know what happened at the end. But I really enjoy a match where you really put it all on the line. And like, for instance, Shawn bled probably the most I've ever seen him bleed in this match. It was insane. And then there's a part where they throw Benoit out of the ring, and then Shawn and Triple H go at it. And you know, that classic rivalry. They beat the crap out of each other. They used each other all the time for triple team moves. And, you know, Shawn and Triple H throw Benoit over onto a table. Triple H uses Chris Benoit or Shawn. They throw him into the corner, into the other one that's in a tree of woe. It was a pretty awesome thing. Just seeing that kind of stuff was really, really awesome. Obviously, the best part of this match is the very end. When Shawn Michaels goes for the sweet chin music, Benoit gets underneath his legs, dumps him over the top rope, and you don't see Shawn after that. Triple H goes for the pedigree, but when he does, for me, this is one of the most infamous moments for him. That's when Benoit reverses it out of the pedigree, puts him into the crippler crossface, and Triple H scoots and scoots and scoots until he finally gets to that bottom rope, but he can't get it, and he's like passing out. The referee checks him. His hand's back up. He's right there. And then Benoit does a roll, and it's one of the best rolls I've ever seen, because not only does he go from this side of the ring where Triple H is beside it, he almost rolls the entire ring, and he's on the other side, and Triple H is literally a ring length away from that rope. So it's kind of like, all right, he's either A, going to break it, or he's going to tap. And when Benoit gets him to tap. Now, if you ever go back and watch this, watch how Benoit holds it. Watch the crowd the entire time. They are so passionate about Benoit winning it. It is incredible. And then when he rolls and he's on the other side of that ring, the crowd erupts even more. And to me, when a crowd gets into a match like that, that makes a match. All 5 of these matches are literally on my list because the crowd is so into it. They're so thirsty for what's going to happen next. The anticipation is really, really thick. I absolutely love when a crowd gets into it. That actually, Benoit winning that world title was his first world heavyweight title in 18 years. and his legacy was finally cemented after that. And, you know, I was such a big Benoit fan. So, and that's all I ever wanted was him to finally make it. And he finally did it, and it really put his career into perspective. And at the end of that WrestleMania, they had Benoit and Eddie hug it out. And that was such a beautiful moment. Such a beautiful moment. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please, WrestleMania 20, Michaels, Benoit, Triple H, World Heavyweight title. It's the last match on the card. Gotta watch it. And then at the end, it's beautiful to see the two best friends standing in the ring, winning they're not winning their titles. Eddie was the champion, but Benoit winning his title, and then two standing there. It's an awesome moment. But yeah, that was my top 5 favorite wrestling matches ever. And I'm glad you stopped in. I'm glad you watched this episode. But just to let you know, next Monday, I'm going to have another episode. And I'm not going to tell you. Obviously, you'll find out on the Wrestling Open forum. But thanks again for stopping by.